Welcome, new bosses and new boss babes, to the New Boss Babe Academy, Professional Skills for Maximum Impact. This is week number 5, and our topic for today is presenting. Remembering that where we're coming from, our mission in this group is to truly empower heart-driven people like you who want to make a difference in the world, to learn as quickly as possible all the skills, attitudes, and mindsets of a new boss or new boss babe. And that's just to be in alignment with the Nu Skin mission statement, which is being a force for good in the world, empowering you to improve lives, starting with yours. So we want to be really clear on some processes and talk principles so that you can apply this in any situation that you go into. So we truly value your lifestyle, and we want you to craft your work-life balance to fully work for you for maximum impact. And, that starts with self-care and also giving back, having that mindset of being of service. And we prioritize vitamin donations. So we're into a new month, remembering that part of the agreement of being part of this course is that you add an extra vitamin onto your ADRs. I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. Veronica, if you're able to mute people that are unmuted, maybe, just in case. Here we go. Also, just congratulations to everyone, because part of our values are to be action orientated. So imperfect action is 1,000,000 times better than perfect procrastination. We are all about moving forward together and knowing that the understanding will come from the action. So if you've been feeling a little bit like the actions have pushed you beyond what's normal and what's comfortable for you, that's great. We're actually really excited for that. And trust me, our leadership team has also been pushing their boundaries as well. We've been working behind the scenes imperfectly to get this out to you. So this week, System 7 focus. Remember that this System 7 is like our franchise blueprint. And the reason that we need this is to keep us on track. Every single Nu Skin business that is successful is based on System 7. And it's applicable just as easily to a Facebook-based business as it is to a more of a one-on-one business, because it's the principles that count. You need to be doing the workflow however you're doing it, whether it's online, offline, face-to-face, or via video calls. You need to be following the workflow, the event cycle, and integrating the core habits. This is a whole package, and if you miss any single part of it, as we said on last week's call, it's like you're going to end up with soggy chips. McDonald's has a system for frying their chips. If they miss a step, they get marked down and they end up with an inferior franchise. We sell world-class products, but how are we upholding the brand is going to depend on how well we uphold each of these parts. So this week is going to be about presenting. We're going to go over Chapter 6 of GoPro, and we encourage you to revisit that as a resource. We'll be talking about using tools, telling your story, the napkin presentation, and of course the core habits and your homework for the week. So with great pleasure, I'm going to pass on to Sam Harrison. Thank you so much. Sam is an amazing Blue Diamond on the Gold Coast, which many of you know and love. She's a great leader to learn from, achieved very significant success by achieving the highest level in the business within 16 months, and all expenses paid trips. I had the pleasure of going to Thailand with her, and it was, very exciting. So Sam, please share your wisdom on presenting.
I actually loved just going through this book again and reading it. I've read it numerous times, but just going through it again over the last few weeks is it's something that we all should be going through and really, really resonated with me. And that's one thing, when I did get to Blue Diamond, a lot of it was from what I did, was what he's saying. And then when I came back, I think a lot of you at the weekend in Brisbane, I was saying how I felt like I needed to act like a blue diamond and do more, and my business sort of stopped and halted for a little while. So I just love, so everyone, if they can read this chapter, chapter 6 on presenting in the GoPro book, it's very short and it's very simple. So the rule is that it doesn't matter what works. It's really only that we're duplicating. And for us in a network marketing business, if we're not duplicating, we really just have a job. I think that, you really got to think about that, because it's whatever we're doing and duplicating is what builds us our leverage income and our teams. So don't try to be the expert. I absolutely love this, because you don't have to know everything at the beginning. You don't have to know everything in the middle or the end. Sometimes if you're too good, you end up working really, really hard, because everyone wants to come to you and everyone wants to know what you're doing, and they can't do it. So no matter what you learn, there'll always be questions that you don't know the answers to. So it's okay not to know everything. I see a lot of people going and studying and have to know everything before they go out, feel confident to go out there and talk to people. So it's okay not to know everything. People who know that you aren't the expert, they know that. So don't try to be one, or it will make them a bit more skeptical, and it makes you sometimes look like the salesperson, the suspicious one that is just sort of fluking the answers. So I usually say to people, that's a great question. We can get on the phone now and talk to product support, or I can call someone and get you an answer really quickly. So, there's so many products, there's so many things. I don't know everything. So it makes them feel comfortable and that you're legitimate and you're genuine as well. I think that that's really important. Even if you are an expert in the company, your team members won't be. So, and to make them experts, it will take a long time. So they'll feel that they're not duplicatable if you're too good in this in the beginning. And I think that's why I did grow so quick, because people thought, wow, if she can do this, I can do this. My energy and my excitement was the thing that led me to bringing people to events, and using the tools like Catherine's going to be talking about. I would tap them into the tools. So the tools is like videos, before and after photos, websites, three-way calls.
That was the product training information page. Sorry, PIPs.
Sorry, product information page. I was like, PIPs? That's a new one to me. See, I don't know everything. So use these live events instead of their own presentations, especially at first when you're starting off. So really your job when you're starting off is to go out there and use your excitement and get people to events, and then start to learn the presentations and events as you're going as well. They use other distributors to tell the facts instead of telling the prospects themselves, and I absolutely love that. So like Dino and Eric's call tonight was fabulous, and it's just inviting people along to events and introducing them and putting them in front of people. There's no better validation, and you just feel so comfortable that your prospect is talking to the right people. I had a lady, and Saturday I went to her house. We opened up all her stuff and went through everything. And she was saying to me, oh, that's what Ali uses. And I'm like, Ali? And she said, oh, Ali that was there on Tuesday. So that's Alison Abbott. Thank you so much. And she was telling her, this is my prospect something. So if you can tap into that as much as you can, it's just gold. The pros bring passion, enthusiasm, excitement, and belief, and let the third-party tools do the rest. And it just takes the pressure off you. If you get really good at telling your story, telling people what you do, and leaving a bit of curiosity there, and then gathering them, bringing them to the next event, and getting these tools in front of them in these events and all of that. It's all we have to do is have fun. So it's really exciting. It's pretty easy, really.
Yep. Thank you so much, Sam. And it does make
My
it
pleasure.
more duplicable. So
Yep.
the flow of exposures this is just another way of explaining it, but basically it's back here with system 7. So you've got your contact list. This is where presenting sits. If you want another visual, this is a little bit of put out with what work we have already put in place. So we spoke about how to grow your contact list, and obviously that's a separate step to inviting them to take a look at the presentation, which is a separate step to actually sitting down and sharing a presentation. It's what we're going to show you is not something that you would do on the first contact with them, standing at the queue checking out at Woolworths. You might grab their contact details there because you have the same shoes, or your children are the same age, or for whatever reason you might connect, get their contact details, but then it's a process of then inviting them and then presenting to them. And then of course we're always going to be closing them, so asking them, does that make sense? Are you ready to get started? But if people aren't ready to get started, knowing that it's very normal to have more exposures and follow-up, and you might stay there for a while until they're ready to get started and make an action plan. So that's where we're started. And a pro knows how to use his tools. I really didn't understand how to use tools when I got started. I thought I had to become an expert. I was a really good student at school. I don't know any of you really good students. I actually wanted to be, I went for med school, and I only decided at the last minute that I wouldn't go for it, but I spent my life being the expert. And I shudder when I think about it. But what we need to do is actually just learn to use the tools and trust the tools to do their job, and to edify them, and to allow them, because the tools will give you freedom. One analogy that I heard is like, you could dig a hole by hand in the garden, or you could hire some machinery to dig that hole real quick. And these are the tools that we can do to leverage and literally create more impact. Same with drilling a hole. You can drill a hole by hand, or you could use a power drill. It's leveraging the tools to get more results. Now, we've created some tools for you, and we are continuing to create them. So things like the ADR video, along with the testimonials that Sam and Veronica provided. Thank you very much, girls, for being so quick and onto it. But using tools like that gives you an electronic way to get validation real quick into someone's home. And, people are looking at their phones quite often. And if you can send them a link to a video like that, they can absorb that information real quick and be like, oh, okay, this is normal to have an ADR. And you're educating them by using the tool instead of you talking about it all the time and their brain switching off. Send them something, it makes sense. Also, this is where I want to introduce the napkin presentation, because how many of you have met up with someone one-on-one and your presentation has gone a little bit off track, or it's taken too long, or you're not quite sure where you've ended up in the end? You've kind of gone around and you're not really sure what's happened. This is our gift to you. It's something that they've used in the States for a long time. We just reformatted it for the Australian print because they couldn't. I approached a lot of print shops and they couldn't print it off because they had different size paper to the States. Can you believe that? Anyway, they've reformatted it so you have a visual, tactile, active learning tool that, it suits any learning style. So it doesn't matter if your prospect is an auditory learner or a visual learner. It's really nice and glossy. It's high quality, and it opens up so that you can keep on track, and you can refer to this throughout your presentation to keep you on track as well, because it starts here. And we've recorded a video so that you can go into more detail about how to use it. It's just me doing a 10-minute video, step by step, how to use this little presentation. But I'm literally going through the points with a prospect, opening it up, referring them to a video, which sometimes we watch there and then, but I'm sending it home with them because people need re-exposures. So this actually, it's a conversation guide, and it also goes home with them. And if you use it properly to actually frame it and say, hey, this, so you are interested in more information, make sure you take this home and pull this out when you watch the video that I'm going to share with you, because the video will go over the 4 points that we've talked about. Then on the back, it's got some questions for you to know how to get them started as well. So, and you can literally say to them, so are you, do you see yourself as being interested in the business and making money, wanting to try the products, or having no interest at all? And that allows you to filter them straight away. And you can ask. Anyway, so I'm going to stay on track for time purposes. I've got a whole video that explains it, but I really wanted to say that it's an excellent tool, and this is how I got to Ruby. So I printed these off. They were $1.30 for me to print them one by one. And at $1.30, I didn't give them to my prospects, but we've been able to print them off for just under 50 cents a piece, which is cheaper than the postcards that you can get from Nu Skin, and they're also very, very useful. So Veronica's got some. I can see the chat box going off. Some people are wanting them. Yeah, you can either, they are actually, I will show you, they are, if you want to start using the concept straight away and you're not either near myself or Veronica, you can use it on page 21. Otherwise, we'll both be able to. We've printed 1,000, so we've invested a little bit of money and a little bit of time to get these to you. They're really beautiful, well done, and make sure you let us know if you want some. What I'm encouraging my team to do is to buy them either in lots of 50 or 100, and we are going for our next pin titles. So as they say, it's 200 demos to Ruby from your very first presentation. If you want to grab 200 of them and set yourself the goal of how soon you want to go through it, and just see this as your tool that you're going to be leaving with people so that they've got something to think about, and then of course tracking it and following up. Okay, so that's a little challenge for you to be able to do it. Otherwise, if just buy a handful to get you started. Okay, we do have a lot of tools. Now, see page 19 of the Healthy Business Workbook for what you want to refer to, but avoid getting too distracted. Both Steve Alexander and Graham Park talked about specializing and being quite narrow-minded in what you promote. And the reason for that is Nu Skin is so vast. If you try to really specialize in everything, if you've only got 1 hour a day to build this business, you need to know what you're doing when you hit that power hour, what you're sending, and you need to have confidence in that tool. You need to have confidence how to edify it and how to guide people through it. And you can for sure lead them to more information on a wider scope once they want to do product research. But basically your system needs to be in place. And I recommend the string presentation to get people to open up to their dreams, and then the video, which is called gogpn.com at the moment, and then referring them on to Graham's webinar as well as the Monday night call. But just knowing that you can trust those key events, and that they work for me from a distance especially. So stepping people through these. How am I going for time, Veronica?
Yep, you're just about done.
Okay,
So,
cool.
in fact, you're
Yep.
done.
Right, there we go. So we'll put this slide up so you can master your word tracks, but that's important to know what to say at certain points as well. But thank you, Veronica. You can take it away with telling your story.
Cool. Okay, thank you. So yeah, so the tools are awesome and getting that confidence in them. But telling your story is probably one of the first things that we're taught to do in New Skin. And it's so important because this is a business of connection, and it's a business where people join us. They don't join New Skin as such. Depending on whether they connect with you and they are, they think that, they like you, and they trust that you're going to help them and you can get them from where they are to where they want to be. All of those things are going to be sizing you up very, very quickly. And so the way that you tell your story for people is really, really important. So I know, so we have this little structure here, which makes it very, very simple. And if you can craft your story to take just a couple of minutes, then that's great. If you've got a little bit more time, then you'll know that and you can add in a little bit more detail. But basically, this is the structure that we use. So your background and what you liked about it or you didn't like about what you did before New Skin. So often when I talk to someone, I'll say, I was running a drink vending business. What I loved about being in business was that flexibility that I had. That what I hated about it was that I couldn't go on holidays with my kids. I couldn't travel to see mum, and there was no, my income was capped because it was a franchise territory. So you're picking out, what you love, but the downside of it, and also the fact I had no provision for my future. How did you first hear about New Skin? So whether was that intro through the product, through the business, whatever it was, and then what really, what do you love about it, and why did you decide to partner with New Skin? Where are you going with New Skin means, what do you see in it for you, for your family, for your future, for the contribution that you want to make? And then at the end, that extended invitation is, whatever is appropriate, depending on how they're connecting with you. Do you see this as, is this something that you'd like to find out a little bit more of? Or would you like to come and, come to one of our morning teas? Or, we have an event, we have an amazing speaker coming next Tuesday. Would you love to, I'd love you to come and hear a little bit about it to see whether this is something that might, you might get excited about as well. What I know about my story is that, this can be a product story or your business story. And depending who you're talking to, on Sunday, I, down the beach again with the dog and met a guy who he was there, travelled to the coast to get into the salt water because he had this dreadful rash all over him. And it was a matter of, sort of chatting to him about, initially, he was telling me how he, the problems that he was having at the moment with his health. And so I came in with a health story, so when I was, running a business and had chronic fatigue and had gone to natural, because he was talking about, he'd been to the doctors, no help. He was thinking about naturopaths. And so to be able to tailor your story to whatever's appropriate with that person, because people will get introduced to the business either through the product and, that will build their trust and their connection with you. Or if they are actually looking for business, then obviously you're going to lead with that first if there's something that you think is relevant to them. I think the most important thing is being really, really flexible and practicing or just having that structure in your head so that it, it can guide if you're talking about the story, so what was a product, what was happening to you, your hair falling out, you're overweight, your eyesight failing, your chronic fatigue, whatever the problem. How were you introduced to New Skin, and then what did you use before, and then how did New Skin change that for you? So whether we share that or whether we share the business story, I think both are, there's going to be times when you choose to do one or the other. But what's really, really important is that you craft it to the person that you're talking to. You're talking to a young mum, then obviously you're going to pick out the things in your story that really emphasize the flexibility that it gives you to work from home and to do things with your kids and be on holiday with them. That was something that I couldn't do before, but I could do now. If I'm talking to a woman my age who, doesn't have any super, then obviously that's the part of my story I'm really going to focus on for her. And so, I'm sure that all of you maybe pick parts out of your story that you think will, are going to connect with different people, so that you're prepared and you're very flexible about the way that you tell your story. Can you add anything to that, Catherine? Does that sort of cover the...
I think that's great, like really tailoring it so that you're resonating with people. I mean, Chris Helder talks about, getting their vibeness. So if you're talking to someone that's really intense, that you mirror that, but also that you kind of mirror their story so that they can see a way in you.
It's like if I'm talking to a guy, I'll talk very, very differently and emphasize different things about the business to if I'm talking about, talking to a girl like me, or, whether it's a young girl or an older girl, whatever, just because they tend to be different, tend to be looking for different things.
Which is a really good point, Veronica, because we were having this discussion about finding your niche and the people that you work easiest with. Not to rule out the rest of them, but if you were wanting to go fast, for example, what the girls in the UK have done, they've targeted single mums like themselves who are on Facebook, who want an extra $200 cash, and this is like a typical example, but without really thinking about it, I'm sure none of them had a marketing degree, but they just niched their market and crafted their message for their market and repeated it over and over and over again, which means that they didn't have to spend time thinking or adjusting their story too much. So I've been challenging myself, out of the thousands of people that we can speak to, especially now that social media opens that up, just to focus on speaking to those that I really, really want to and that my story fits, just to save time so that I'm not... and with social media, you can see straight away what people's interests are. So just a challenge to think about that, is that... Yeah. I mean, we give...
It's all right for you, though, because you're young. I'm talking to a lot of old ladies. A lot of them are too tired to be bothered to build a business. I want to appeal to across the board, So I also see that thing. Yes, you can niche it down, or yes, you can connect with people who, they're just people with a why. The people who are going to be successful in this business are people who have a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think the skill is in asking the questions and finding the reason. Is it to make a contribution? Is it to stay home with their kids? So I think it's possible to connect with a variety of people, as long as you you're around helping them and finding the best fit for them. But I think we need to move on from the story because I've used up my time.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Okay, and then I just wanted to highlight, because when I was reading GoPro, I actually listened to it on audio, and sometimes, I don't know, I didn't differentiate between the beginning of the book where he's talking about one-on-one presenting, and at the end of the chapter where he actually makes this amazing speech. And if you've got the audiobook, you'll know he has an amazing polished speech at the end. And I thought just to highlight the difference between where you're doing a one-on-one presentation and when you're presenting from the front, because it's quite different. But both skills are something that you will grow in this business, even if presenting from the front right now makes you weak at the knees. It's something that we hope you grow towards, even if it's your biggest fear. And Sam, you can just nod your head. I know that was one of the things that you didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
But
no, not at all.
It makes you a leader, and it speaking from the front enables you to speak to your team and to have more impact. So it's one of those leadership skills that we will encourage over the time. But basically, with a personal presentation, you're a consultant. So you're asking those questions like Veronica was saying. You're leading the prospect through a process, and you're just holding a space for them to question what, their dreams and how they're going to achieve them. You help them find their answers, and it's very much a side-by-side process. You're postured, you're powerful, you're passionate about what you've got, you're certain that you've got a solution for them, but you're very comfortable in that process. Presenting from the front, just be aware that you become the validation tool. So people are actually bringing their guests to see you. So when you're presenting, you're actually a representative of the quality of the organization. So people want to follow those that know where they're going, and having things like statistics or being able to speak clearly about the things that are important to you really help. And Eric Worre, he highlighted, in those situations where you are talking from the front, be polished and be practiced, like be prepared. There's nothing worse than a wishy-washy presentation from the front. And as a team, keep each other accountable. Like, I know that my presenting skills are improved and sharpened by the blue diamonds I get to talk to on our leadership calls, and they kind of pull me up and say, look, that's not really so clear. I think you're rambling a bit there, or pull it in. This is a team effort, and especially when you're presenting from the front, be accountable to those around you and practice it and make sure that you're giving your best, because along the journey, we really want to develop strong leaders and people that are confident in what we've got. But it is very different. You don't need to be the expert when you're doing a personal presentation. But when you are doing a presentation from the front, you need to show that you've done enough research to be presenting from the front. Even if you say, I didn't know this when I first started, but I have found out these things, and to present them with confidence. So it's just know your information, be dynamic, have high energy, be passionate, powerful, postured, prepared and polished. And you're the third party authority for other guests in the room. So I have been to other trainings with groups that will remain unmentioned, and certainly no one, was actually at a distance. But I took guests to an event, and it was not what our events have been on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane. It was something where a couple of people stood up and were quite embarrassed about sharing even their story. So, if you're going to do your story, practice it before you get up in front of people, and, before you're that authority figure. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's all raise the bar with what we do. Okay, core habit. This is the last point. No cross-lining, and also where we were focusing on 15 personal presentations or more per month. Obviously, when you're using tools, these presentations end up taking you less energy. They're more fun because you know what you're doing. You've got a process. It's more time-bound, and it's easier to follow up. So this unit makes everything easier to achieve. With being a team player, following a system also makes it something that your leaders can support you with. So when you've got blue diamonds that are supporting you with the story of, the 4-year retirement plan, they're able to do a 3-way call with you and know that anyone that you get on a 3-way call with is already aware of, their dreams. They've already had that conversation with you about finding some sort of financial freedom. They've already had the napkin presentation. They've already seen an exposure to the 4 parts of this business. It then makes it easy for them to validate you and answer any questions. I'm sure that there are other teams out there that are doing things completely different. And Graham Park at Kickoff, he said, look, any system will work. We work with world-class products And there are teams in other countries doing other things that really work. There are teams even in Australia doing other things that really work. But you need to have a system, otherwise it will fall apart. So teamwork plays into just kind of accepting and following the system, and then edifying the system and not cross-lining. So if someone else has a great idea, and in a way we've done this a little bit with watching what the UK do, cross-lining and saying, oh, well, we now need to start posting on Facebook retail sales and then mailing packages across the country. Of course, everyone was excited when the girls in the UK started, rising to Ruby and then Diamond and Blue Diamond and Team Elite. And we started trying to borrow parts of their system. But I can tell you, I spent 3 months trying to figure it out, and it doesn't fit with what we do here in Australia exactly like that. So the fourth point of being a team player is like consulting. Consult with your upline. Make sure that you have a system in place, whether you diagram it out, but a business it's almost a factory. And if you are baking cakes in your factory, you can bake certain kinds of cakes. But if you change the recipe over here, you're going to end up with pancakes instead of angel cakes. And you need to just make sure that your formula is right. Does that make sense? So consult with your upline who have a vested interest in you achieving that success, and make sure that you've spoken it out. So with Karen, she said to me, work it out. And I went through the process of advertising toothpaste online and then going and posting it to someone and crying at the post office because I spent $7 to send a $9 toothpaste to someone across the other side of the country. And I worked out pretty quickly that didn't add value to anyone. So cross-lining.
Time's up. So yes. We really need to move on, and
that's it. Thank you. Okay, so homework is simply to write.
Go V.
What was that?
I said go V. She got you.
Thank you. But I hope that all makes sense. Homework is simply to write your story out and post it in the group. If you're brave, do a video of it and post the video of you doing your story. And the more you do this, business and a product one, the better it's going to get. And if you post it, we can give you feedback. If you do it verbally, you're going to be learning it. So the prize is actually the fact that you get it done and that you grow your confidence. And we're also challenging you to do a napkin presentation on a prospect, and then use a video tool to present the business opportunity. So again, if you're not near Veronica or myself to pick this up, you can use page 21 just to show them the image, and then show them a video.
Catherine and Veronica, would there be any chance of having these at the next Super Saturday?
Yeah, I've spoken to Lawrence, and I'm going to give him some to have there if people want to get them from him then.
Excellent.
So, how are you doing up there, Deborah? We can't hear you. Say hi. Turn your thing off mute and say good day.
I know, Brad. Bye. Hello, everyone. Hello. Janine, Brent, everyone.
Hey.
Thank you very much. That was a really useful presentation. This napkin thing. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Are we going to be able to sort of download a copy of it to make it up ourselves, or before?
So don't fiddle with printing it yourself.
And the picture and the script are both in the Healthy Business Plan.
Oh, okay.
I've also got, and as Catherine said, she's made a video of how to do it. And I've got loads of copies that I can go through with you. We can have a little practice if you want to do that and give you some.
Just read it. It's great. So, I read it. I still read it. You open the thing and you read the little things. It's the trends, about the company, the products, about the company, and the compensation plan. It's just so straightforward. Read it. I still do it.
Okay, so it's in the Healthy Business book. I'll go and have a look. All right. Thank
so,
you.
Deborah, are you coming tomorrow morning?
I am.
Awesome. I'll bring some with me.
Oh, thank you so much, Veronica. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, pleasure.
See you
Thank
in the
you.
morning.
See you there.
Love
Bye.
seeing you all.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
No.
Bye, Claire.
Okay.
Bye.